You're studying abroad, chasing the dream. But what if the dream has also a dark side? Good day, my wonderful and successful international students. I am very happy to see you. My name is Ada Sandoval, and I am your host at the Successful International Student Podcast. As you know, the purpose of this podcast is to help international students around the world who may be facing struggles, challenges, and difficulties beyond the books, beyond the academia. If you're listening right now and feeling perhaps overwhelmed in your study abroad experience, maybe by adapting to the culture, maybe just like what it is to be in a new country, well, let me tell you that this channel is for you. Because this podcast is your reminder that sometimes struggle is part of the journey, but you don't have to go through this alone. When I started this channel in the year 2020, I was working as a director of the study abroad programs. And in the last 12 years, I have been blessed enough to be helping people, to have been helping international students around the world as a teacher, as a coach, and as a counselor sometimes. But also, I have been an international student just like you. As you know, I was an exchange student in the US when I was only 15 years old. And most recently, I was in an international student program. I was studying my second post-degree here in Canada. And for the past 3 years, I have been a business professor, a business instructor, and project management instructor at Vancouver Community College. And in these 3 years, I have had the amazing opportunity to continue guiding, coaching, and counseling students from different countries, from different parts of the world, like India, Philippines, Romania, Turkey, Hong Kong, Korea, and of course, Latin American countries like Colombia, Peru, and my home country, Mexico. My only goal in this channel is to help you, international students, understand that those challenges that we go through, no matter the country where you decide to move abroad, you are not alone. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can be notified about our new episodes, because I am sure that you will definitely connect with all the real life stories, all the tips and strategies that we share in this channel. Now, today we have a very special topic. And we actually have a very special guest. We have all had an idea of making it out there, of course. We want to travel to this new country, but also we want to get the dream job. We need to have, or maybe we're dreaming about having an international stage where we can share our ideas. And of course, we want that invite to the most exclusive forums all around the world. Well, today, our guest lived that dream. But today's podcast is also going to be focused on what happens when that dream doesn't feel like you thought it will feel. When sometimes your expectations may be met in a different way as you had originally expected. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guest today. Our guest is Salma Melissa Mohammadiyan. She is a leader in circular economy and sustainable business. She was the first young Mexican woman to represent Mexico at the 2024 annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. She has a bachelor's degree in business administration and management, but she also holds a master's degree in tax planning and international taxation. She has worked as a freelance financial analyst for companies as Citalis and Ecolana. And today, I am very, very happy to have her here because I also need to tell you this. She was actually my student. She was my former student. And without any further ado, here I'm going to introduce our dear Meli. Meli, how are you? We're so happy to have you in the Successful International Student Podcast. How are you today?
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for the invite. And I feel like I made it in life for being here.
Well, you have done it because I have known you for such a long time, Meli. and I feel honored. I met you, I think it was over 10 years ago. Is that
Yes.
right? Oh my gosh, over 10 years ago. So you see, my international students, my former international students are here to share these stories. And today I want to talk about this amazing opportunity and this amazing adventure that you had by representing Mexico in Davos. And what I would like to talk about is how we spend so much time preparing for a dream like this, right? But sometimes you're not always hitting the reality. Once you are there, once you have all this academic training, of course you have all the credentials, but when you landed in Switzerland, what was something about that experience that maybe took you by surprise, Meli? Maybe something that you are sure that you couldn't have studied for. Maybe something that your academic degrees didn't prepare you for. Could you share some of these experiences, please?
Yeah, of course. I mean, going to Switzerland was a life-changing experience for me and for my family, friends, and all the community that is here in Mexico with me. For me, was one of a kind event, obviously because everything that is going on around the world, but as well how is going to be my interaction there with the people and with new culture. I don't want to be disrespectful, so I prepare myself, but obviously it's never good enough. One of the highlights of my participation there in the event was about I love circular economy, I love sustainability, I love business, but the agenda that I have in mind changed because I already know everything about circular economy. I know what's going to happen for the next 5 to 10 years. So I believe that I wasn't making a huge impact there because we all have the same information. And so I changed the first day that I was there. I changed the whole agenda. The whole agenda that I had prepared for months, I changed it. Yeah, it was huge for me. and I started attending to different sessions that I didn't know anything about for taxes, like in a global perspective, geopolitics, more about data, yeah, even though inflation and all that topics. Because I was like, okay, if I want to make an impact and I already know how sustainability is going to be and how can I make a huge impact in this community, I must be in the agenda, in the meetings, and in the table that don't know about the topic. So that was my strategy. And it was a little bit weird, but at the end was amazing to talk with people that they don't know about the impact that sustainability is going to have in inflation, which is huge. And yeah, and all that stuff.
Oh my God, what an amazing experience, but also changing everything at the last time. Oh my God. Something we talk about in some of the episodes here in our channel, Meli, is how sometimes even though we prepare as much as we can, we must be flexible, we must be adaptable, and we must be ready for those changes, right? Mm-hmm. And now I would like to address another topic, if that's okay with you. When you're an international student and a young professional, of course, stepping in this global world-class space, such as Davos, such as the World Economic Forum, sometimes I believe, you're often one of the very few people who probably it's from Mexico, maybe a young professional like you. Very few people maybe looked like you, talked like you, thought like you, or had the same perspectives that you have. And sometimes what I think it's difficult for many of us is that there is a pressure to represent, but also a certain vulnerability in standing out. Because I don't know if you were like the only young girl sometimes in certain meetings and forums, So I would like you to share with the rest of international students, did you experience maybe moments in which that feeling of being the only one in the room hit you? And
Yeah.
how did you navigate through this situation, Meli?
Yeah, of course. At first, the first day, I called my mom and my dad, and I was like, maybe this is not for me. I'm too young to be here. But then I realized like I'm here. I'm here for something that I want to achieve in life, and I want to really make an impact in this world. So for me was obviously the imposter syndrome at first, because being with people like CEOs for multinational companies, governments, presidents, and me being there like, hi, I'm from Mexico. They were like, and you are doing what? So for me was to step out and raise my hands and have this elevator speech that you must know me. I have tools, I have information, I have knowledge. Also my country, even though sometimes they don't realize that we know topics and we are doing things, we have those. So listen to me. So that's why I start to implement that in all the meetings that I was present.
Were you surprised, now going further into this answer you're just sharing, were people surprised like, oh, I'm coming from Mexico? And were they surprised like that? And also, were they surprised? I think somehow you have told me that in some forums, you were the only woman, the only young woman sharing. So how did you feel? Because I bet that was surprising, right?
Yeah, at first, I always say like, I'm from Mexico. And then I change that and I'm say, I'm Salma, I'm doing circular economy, I'm doing this project, I have this impact, and I'm from Mexico. So that's why they're like, oh, but the last thing doesn't care. It doesn't import anymore. So for me was that change of being from Mexico and not saying that and being like this global citizen that they say like, oh, please, we need to talk. And for me was that change. And also it's been really hard being a young girl there, because I realized that youth represent the passion and the heart that we want to achieve in this world. And we have this agenda and we want to make an impact, but in a rapid way and really passionate about the topic. And the other people, not to say older people, but experienced people, tend to think more with their mind. They are more about data, strategies, and connections. And so it was like we are not communicating at the same level, so we need to be at the middle and the path. And for me, it was the strategy that I did, because I was like, it seems like they're listening to us, but they are not actually understanding the importance of the topics that we are want to achieve in this table or conversation. So I start changing the message. I think everything that you do and everything that you say, it's motivated based on the message, the words that you choose. And that helped me a lot being there, so that people take me seriously away.
I see, and this taking you seriously. I think there are many international students that you talked about the imposter syndrome, and we actually have an episode about the imposter syndrome, because it is sometimes inevitable, right, to feel this imposter syndrome and feeling that am I really taken seriously? And not only because you are very young, and sometimes, I have to say this, sometimes young international students feel that because of my age, maybe I'm not being listened to, maybe people are not really paying attention to me. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much what you went through, right?
Yeah, that was the topic at Davos. But then on the other hand, I had this event that is the youth forum from Davos, that it was all done by I think they were in high school. So they were little guys and girls preparing all the forum, and they did everything. They sent me the invite, the topics that they want to talk, my profile. They achieved all the video camera, photos, the audio. So for me, it was like I have hope in this world, even though in Davos, that it's the last or the experienced people, but the youth actually is making a huge impact.
I am so glad, and I think that gives us hope. Now,
Yeah.
this next question I ask all my former successful international students, okay? Looking back at your journey, Meli, and everything you went through in Davos, what is one thing you wish you had known before you actually traveled, before you actually took that plane? What would you tell that young Melissa, that young Meli, before she took that plane, so that maybe you could have been more prepared for such a huge international experience like this?
I will say be prepared as much as you can, but also being open to new possibilities. Because sometimes, as youth and a woman, we want to have everything structured. But when we were there, I changed my agenda. I talked to people that I never imagined that I will. Don't have fear. That we have a lot of fear. I have a lot of fear. But then it was like, but you're here. You need to be present and be ready each day and be ready to change your life. Because sometimes we realize like it's like this trip or it's only 5 days, but you don't see how it's gonna make your life different and also change it for the next 5 to 10 years.
That's actually something I would like to ask you now. How did this international experience change your life?
It was a lot for me to realize that even though I feel very passionate about topics and I choose to see the positive side of this world, of course, I learned the issues that we have to improve and to change in this world as well. Also, networking was a huge thing because sometimes you only see like meetings for 10 to 15 minutes, but it's like a friendship for years. And also very important, your mentors that will help you with your goals and with your leadership. And also a lot of pressure because people feel like, oh, you went to Davos, so you must be someone. So they are always looking up to you and seeing what you're doing.
Actually, Meli, expectations. Expectations is actually the topic for our next episode. How we have to deal with all these expectations, right? Because sometimes that is just too much pressure on us. But I have to say this also as someone who has known you for a very long time and someone who met you before Davos was even a dream or anything. Watching you step onto that stage and representing our country, Mexico, and now use that experience to drive real change in circular innovation is just incredible. You did that. That takes a lot of guts, and I am so proud of you, Meli. So proud of you. Thank you. Now, we're almost about to finish and go to the last part of this podcast. One of the core messages of this podcast is to tell international students out there, you're not alone. You are not alone. And right now, there are students listening who are scared, who may be doubting themselves, who may feel that they are just struggling in silence. So if you could speak directly to all these international students out there, what is one message of hope solidarity or of truth that you would like them to know? What would you like to share with them?
I think you taught me that sometimes leadership it tends to be alone, but you connect and find people that are at the same level as you. One of my trips to Switzerland, my highlight was like, thank you for not making me feel like I'm crazy, and to connect with me and the ideas and the crazy ideas of making the impossible possible. So my message will be always true to yourself, your principle and values, and you will find the right people.
Oh, thank you so much. You're going to make me cry. That is so
Me
beautiful.
too.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Manny, for sharing your experience. It's been great having you at the Successful International Student Podcast. I hope we meet again in the future.
Yay.
It's been great having you, and I will make sure to be seeing you later, okay? Okay, guys. So as you can tell and as you can see, today what we did was very important. We have learned that the invitation is just the beginning, and that acceptance letter that you get from your university is just the start. Because that academic excellence opens the door, of course, but it doesn't equip you for everything that you're going to find on the other side once you become an international student abroad. That feeling, that feeling that I'm out of place, I don't belong here, sometimes we all go through that. And the real win here is not just about surviving through these moments, but it's using those moments to redefine your own path and this new person that you're becoming. So make sure now to go to the comments, okay? And try to share which part of Merly's experience in Davos, Switzerland, do you feel more connected to? What do you feel you can connect with? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and make sure to share this episode with your friends and classmates, of course, if you think this episode can help them abroad. And just like we say in every episode, remember, the journey of international students, it is not only about studying abroad, it is about thriving abroad. You know that I believe in you, you've got this, and I will see you in our next episode. Ciao!